Hey, how is it going again, Guardians? LVnative here with another Destiny video for you. Today, we are going to be going over my guide on how you guys can complete both of the challenge modes in the Wrath of the Machine raid to include Vosik and Aksis. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and take a real quick look at
the feature comment of the day.
And today's comment comes to us from Josh Gaming 11111, and he says, "Can I be feature comment of the day? Cause I'm your minion." There you go, man. I never had a minion, and I'm glad to have you aboard. And remember, guys, if you want to be the feature comment of the day, all you gotta do, smack that like button, drop a comment in the section below, and I just might pick yours to be the very next featured comment of the day. Okay, so before we get started, I'm going to assume that you guys already have a basic understanding on how to complete this raid in general in both of these boss fights. I will be giving you a couple tips along the way, but you really need to have a basic grasp of this before you start trying to complete the actual challenges. So the first challenge up for bids is Vosik, and I recommend breaking up into 3 different groups of 2 left, 2 right, and of course 2 center. So boys and girls, the win condition for the Vosik challenge is easy. All you have to do is eliminate all 4 clean rooms with the Siva cluster bombs. The best way that I know to do this, and most of the groups you get into are probably going to be doing it this way, is you're going to use 3 damage phases. After the first damage phase, you will eliminate 2 of the clean rooms. And then you're going to rinse and repeat, go through to the second damage phase, eliminate the last 2 clean rooms, and then on the third and final damage phase will be when you actually kill Vosik and complete the challenge. Now, if you are on one of the teams on either the left or the right hand side, it's usually preferred if you have a class that has a high survivability to be the one that goes all the way to the front to grab that furthest Siva cluster, mainly because the ads can gun you down. The ones that I like to recommend, if you've got a hunter, it's perfect. You can use either the Night Stalker with smoke grenades, or you can use the Blade Dancer's invisibility to make yourself go invisible, go in there, pick up the cluster, and throw it and get out without taking too much damage. That works really well. Another way I've seen for people to do this is they'll actually put like a Titan or something up there with the Ruin Wings on and the Dark Drinker, or another sword, and they will just go to town and sit all the way in the back and kill all the ads as they come out, and that's a very effective strategy as well. You just want to make sure that whoever's going up to throw that front cluster is going to be able to survive and get out somehow. Also, I would recommend taking a very nice Void shotgun or something to deal with the captains that come out, because you do not want them hanging around too often. You want to be able to gun them down very quickly, otherwise it just starts to make it a headache for the rest of your team. So basically, you're just going to run through the normal phase here, clear out all the ads, everyone throw your clusters. Once you get to the point where it's time for the damage phase, I highly recommend that you have one person designated to be the call out. And what that person is going to do while you guys are doing all of your damage, make sure that that one person runs up, grabs the farthest Siva cluster, and then starts looking around to see which 2 rooms are going to be open. And the best way to do this is to, if you've got the double jump, or if you got a warlock who can float, that'll work really well. And the best way I know to give this call out is you let everyone else know where they're going to go first, and you tell them then where you're going to go. So, for instance, you look up and you see that you have the back right room open and the front left room open. Either way you want to do it, you can tell everybody, hey, go front left, and you don't worry about the back right, you just go take care of that one yourself. Now, keep in mind that you will have to have a second person to grab that Siva cluster, and this should be figured out beforehand, so there's not everybody scrambling to figure out who's going to pick up that cluster. So you have the 2 people who are designated at the end of every damage phase, and one person is going to be designated to give the call-outs on the rooms to go, however you want to do it. For me, it was easier for me to make the call-outs and be one of the people holding the clusters, but make sure you have just one person giving the call-out so it's no confusion going on, and also make sure you have 2 designated people to pick up those Siva clusters. Now, everyone's going to go into their rooms, you have to turn around and break the paneling on the door to seal it, but you have to make sure you do it with a Siva cluster. If you don't and you just shoot it like we always used to do, then you will not complete this challenge. Alright, Guardians, now once you leave the room and you've completed that first damage phase, don't forget for you guys to call out where the monitor is going to be, either left, right, or middle. Once they make that call out, you guys just focus and destroy that TV. It's a Samsung. Yeah. Why is it a Samsung? Come on, guys. Because it explodes. The answer was right in front of you. But once you do that, you're just going to continue with the phase, rinse and repeat until you throw all the clusters, destroy the other 2 clean rooms, move on to the 3rd damage phase, and kill Vosik. As far as weapon recommendations go, If you've got the sleeper simulant, that is a very, very good one to use. Also, you can use the high impact snipers such as the Ex Machina or the Black Spindle. I personally love to pair my Ex Machina with the sleeper simulant for most of the things that I do. For your primary, just make sure it's something that you can deal with the ads very effectively. Fatebringer, something like that, I usually prefer to go with either a Pulse or a Scout in this section, just so I don't have to be that close to the enemies to kill them. But that's it for the Vosik challenge. Collect your ornaments and of course those exotic primaries, and let's move on to the second challenge. Now when it comes to the Aksis fight, everything is very, very similar to how you would normally do this. The win condition for this is every single time, once you start getting to the damage phases, that Aksis teleports, there will be one random plate that glows, and one of the empowered guardians has to slam on that before the other person actually slams on top of Aksis. Now the big thing that shuts most groups down and causes them to rage quit is the fact that there is a lack of communication. If there is any raid, any boss in Destiny where you need to make sure everybody's on the same page as far as the communication goes, it is definitely this fight, and more importantly for this challenge. So to start things off, again, break into 3 teams, all groups of 2, 2 left, 2 middle, and 2 right. Now you don't have to do this next part, but I highly, highly recommend that each group of 2 have one person that is going to be the designated cannon holder and the other one will be a designated Siva cluster thrower. The main reason for this is if it gets switched up too much, a lot of people lose track on who is actually supposed to pick up the cannon, a lot of yelling and finger pointing goes on, and it can cause groups to break up very quickly. If you do it the way that I suggest, where you have a designated cannon holder on your side, there's no question. Everyone knows that that person is going to pick up the cannon when that particular captain goes down. So once you've taken down all the captains and you guys are starting to grab all your Siva clusters from the servitors and destroying his shield, be aware when you get down to where only one more cluster needs to be thrown. I usually like to make whoever the thrower in the middle is be the person to throw the last one, like I am in this particular fight. The main reason for this is you can be absolutely certain that the empowered people on the left, right, and middle are all ready before you throw that final. It's very easy for someone to get caught up destroying, one of the servitors or going to get a cluster, and then it comes time to actually be in position and they're out of position and they lose the challenge. Do not be that guy. So this part here with the 3 times that Aksis is going to teleport, during his damage phases, is going to be the critical point for your raid team. If you want to complete this challenge, I highly recommend that everybody knows the exact spots that is, going to be good for you to stand in order to be able to either hit the plate if it glows or to be able to go over and slam Aksis. So for the middle, you want to go where you've kind of seen me going here, kind of right in the middle of both the very front middle and the back middle. What I usually like to do is turn myself to where I'm facing the back middle. That way, if anything pops up right in front of me, I can go to it. If Aksis decides to spawn in the front middle, I have my eye peeled to my radar and I will see that dot go right behind me. When I see that, I know that it is my job to spin around and go over and jump on top of his back and get the slam. You really can't, for the challenge mode, count on people from the left and right going because they may have either Aksis or one of those glowing portals for you to slam pop up and they have to be watching for that. So the very center empowered person kind of has his hands full on being able to manage both the front and the back middle, but this is where your callouts are going to come in key. You want to keep the chatter down to a minimum and just make the necessary callouts that your team needs. One nice little benefit to doing it this way to complete the challenge, by slamming and getting everybody supercharged, is that it will bring your entire fire team supers back up, which means to bring down the captains or, if you're having trouble dealing with mobs for whatever reason, you can feel free to let your supers go because as long as you guys are doing the challenge correctly, everybody will get their supers back every single time he teleports. What's nice about that is once he teleports, everybody can use their damaging supers. If you've got a Celestial Nighthawk for your hunters, use the Golden Gun every time he teleports. It does massive damage. That's what you guys see me using in this particular clip here. If you have the Nova Bomb, you can chuck the Nova as soon as he teleports and then start your normal DPS. Any of these supers are going to give you a great amount of extra damage on the boss and help you to be able to two-phase him with the right loadouts. And as long as everybody's doing their job and have the right weapons and the appropriate light level, you guys should be able to two-phase it. Now, you may end up going on to a third phase, but honestly, if everyone is, maximizing their damage potential, you should be able to two-phase him here. So I told you that the most critical critical part is when Aksis starts doing his teleportation, that everyone is in the right position, you know, in order to be able to either slam the portal when it opens to supercharge everyone, or to jump on top of Aksis's back and slam him and stun him. So, you already know where I recommend if you're in the middle. Sadly, I don't have footage in this clip of where to stand on the left and right, but basically there's a halfway point between where that portal opens up or where he's going to teleport to, and it's on each side. It's kind of got that yellow and black pinstriping going diagonally across it. Standing in that is a very, very good marker that you can tell people who aren't that familiar with this, and you can tell them where to face. Again, I always recommend facing the plate that he will not teleport to, because you can see that if he shows up on your radar. For instance, if you're on the left-hand side and now you're just waiting for him to teleport, you want to be focused a little bit to the right and look to where that plate might start glowing. Because if you just keep an eye on your radar, if he teleports to your side, you will see him pop up on your radar, and you can immediately just, you know, abandon anything of that plate glowing, and you can run over there and slam him. It is much, much easier than try to spin around and check both of them out. You can check one because it's on your screen, and the other one, you can look at your radar to see if where he is, and it just makes this so much easier, guys. As far as weapons for this challenge, now if I would have made this video a week ago, everyone would have been giving you the exact same advice, and that's just Dark Drinker, and more Dark Drinker. And that, with the Weapons of Light bubble, lets you do an amazing amount of damage, guys, and we always thought that was the best way to do it. Not so fast. It has recently been discovered that there is something that actually will out-damage that Dark Drinker combo, and that is actually going to be rocket launchers. Now, either the Hezen's Vengeance from the Vault of Glass raid, because it has a little mini nerve nuke, or you want to run with a rocket launcher that has cluster bombs, tripod, and field scout. That particular combination will give you 8 rockets if you're wearing the proper armor in order to maximize it with extra rockets or extra heavy ammo, but more importantly is it has the cluster bombs. The cluster bombs are going to be the key to doing more damage than the Dark Drinker. In fact, if you notice in this clip, I actually only have 7 rockets because I do not have the proper armor with this character at the time in order to maximize and get those 8 rockets. So I may have been better off going Dark Drinker because I couldn't maximize the damage with these. Now, the one that I am using in this clip here is the Warpath that was sold last week, and it had that particular role, you know, with the cluster bombs, the tripod, and the field scout. There is, however, if you missed out on that, a chance for you to get a very, very similar one right now from the Dead Orbit vendor. The rocket launcher Unto Dust 00 has those exact same 3 perks. Now, it does have a smaller blast radius, so it's not quite as effective in damage testing that people have been doing between that and the Warpath. The Warpath does tend to do a little bit more damage, but this one is still a very suitable replacement if you didn't already happen to pick up that Warpath last week. The nice thing about the Warpath over the Hezen's Vengeance is that it fires a lot faster. And on top of that, so does the Unto Dust. It fires even faster still. And what's nice is you can dump all 8 of your rockets, and then if you're using the Warpath, you'll have time to switch over to Ex Machina or something like that and get about 3 to 4 shots, you know, before he teleports. You can even get even more shots if you're using the Unto Dust because it has a faster fire rate and a faster reload, so you're able to empty all of your rockets much quicker. So if you've got the right type of rocket launcher, I would highly recommend going with that and a high-powered sniper. For your primary, again, just use something that can take care of the ads. If you don't happen to have either one of those type of rocket launchers, your best bet would be to go Dark Drinker and just get up close and personal and do the damage the way that we used to. Do not use Sleeper Simulant here, guys. I know that it reigns supreme in a lot of boss fights for damage, not in this particular case. And the main reason is because all of the multiple hitboxes that Aksis has, not just, you know, his critical box, but all of his legs have different hitboxes, which is why the cluster bombs that detonate in a large area, they hit all of those simultaneously and do a lot more damage. And it's just going to output so much more damage than the Sleeper Simulant will. I've been running into groups the last couple days that still, you know, swear they want to use the Sleeper. They think it's the best. Guys, it used to be decent, but it's never been the best weapon for this fight. Either the Dark Drinker, or if you have one of these rocket launchers, definitely going to be the way to go. So there you have it. Just make sure that every time he teleports, you have your Guardian standing in the right spot, doing the right callouts, and jumping onto those plates and slamming his back. You should be able to just down him in 2 full damage phases if you guys have the right type of weaponry. In this particular clip here, we had to go to a 3rd damage phase. We almost had him in 2, but didn't quite do it, so we just went through one more damage phase and finished him off there. It doesn't matter how long it takes, guys, as long as every time he teleports you have one of the Empowered Guardians slam that glowing plate, you will complete the challenge. But the less damage phases you have to go through means the less chance on something going wrong and you guys having to wipe and start all over again. So that's pretty much it, guys. I know that this went a little bit longer than I might have intended, but I wanted to give a little bit of detail to people who weren't quite as familiar with the raid. I didn't want to walk through every step of it. Like I said, you should have a general knowledge of how to do these fights before you're attempting to really go into these type of strategies. But regardless, guys, if you found this useful or helpful in any way, I would really love it if you could smack that like button. It helps this channel out a lot. And in the comment section below, I want to know, do you guys use this exact, formula, or do you guys have, other tips and tricks, something that I might have forgot that you can help other people out who are struggling with this? Because I thought most people had this challenge pretty well good, but spending a day on LFG really showed me that a lot of people just don't quite have this concept down yet. Again, the biggest thing is communication, guys. As long as you guys are doing the proper callouts and everybody's on the same page, you should be able to get through without too much difficulty. But I'm going to wrap this up. It's already been going on longer than I wanted it to. So as always, Guardians, this is LVnative. You guys are awesome, and I will see you in the next one.